Coming to you from the Big Island of Hawaii, it's the Songs and Stories Podcast. And now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
Aloha, this is Steve Roby from Big Island Music Magazine. And joining me on the phone right now is award-winning musician and slack key master Makana. Aloha.
Aloha, Steve.
It's so good to hear your voice. It's been a little while, been a minute, as they say, since we've had a chance to talk.
Yeah, thank you for your continuing support of the music of Hawaii.
Hey, you've got a concert coming up this Sunday, June 19th, Father's Day concert, 4 p.m. at the Hilo Palace Theater. We'll jump into that in a few minutes there. But first, I want to talk to you about your new album. It's called Pūlama, Legacies of Hawai'i. Tell me the inspiration for the album, and you say it's a reverence to the forgotten sounds of a time past. Can you talk about that and maybe pick out a couple of tracks that you want to discuss?
I've always believed that tradition is a living entity. Part of perpetuating tradition is this simultaneous going back in time, nourishing roots, listening to the old musics and what came before, and staying fresh on that, but also creating new. And Hawaiian music has, in the past, I would say 20 years or so, maybe longer, really, in my opinion, really moved into a space that has kind of forgotten the nuance and the incredible diversity that it exploded in the 1970s during the Hawaiian music renaissance. Mm-hmm. And so this album, although it's solo, there's no overdubs on the album. There's no edits. There's no track laying. Everything you hear is a single take, and that's just my personal preference. Sometimes that's this recording and performance. They're all genuine, real, no studio trickery.
Oh, nice.
But the music selections and the arrangements are those that speak to that time, and so. You know, I chose songs that have personal meaning to me, but also I'm sharing different, not only slack key guitar styles in different lineages, but also different vocal styles on the record. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I'm saying is, you know, it's easy to, if you kind of go across the Hawaiian music oeuvre, and you listen today, you know, in a way, a lot of it has become homogenized. And my feeling is that's a lot of that has to do with economics. There's a huge market for music in Japan for Hawaiian music. And so the production has become very simplified and for backing hula. And of course, there's a place for that. But what my kuleana is and what I'm interested in is keeping alive the nuance. You know, back in that day that I'm speaking of, and the people that I attribute on this album from, you know, whether it's Dennis Kamakahi as a composer or Gabi Pahinui, Alta Isaacs, George Helm, you know, my Uncle Sonny, Fred Punaho and Led Ka'apana from Kalapana. All these musicians had complex, unique voices. I mean, and I don't mean literal voices, but I also do, you know, their voices in the way they would style their music, arrange it, perform it. And so I tried to achieve that on this record by honoring those. In a way, this is like a second Kiho'alu album for me. My first was in 2003, Kiho'alu Journey of Hawaiian Slack Key, where I attributed a lot of the family styles as well as showcased my own. This is extending that further beyond Slack Key and pulling in Casimiro's and, like I said, George Helm and some other influences. So, yeah, I mean, it's a solo offering, but it's really diverse in the music and the arrangements.
It's a beautiful album, and thank you for sharing that with me yesterday. I got a chance to just play it all the way straight through. There's a track on there called Aloha Found, a new original for you from your upcoming untitled musical about Hawaii. Every time we get together, I prod you a little further to find out how the project is progressing. Any updates?
Yeah, so I decided to put Aloha Found on this album. I think it's an important time. You know, you may have the Hawaii Tourism Authority just allocated tens of millions of dollars of funding away from its usual partners to a Native Hawaiian organization, which is a huge tectonic shift in local economics, politics, and something I'm very involved in. And, really the marketing of Hawaii. So I'm curious to see where that goes. And the song Aloha Found was inspired by the words of Pilahi Paki, one of the great kupuna from the 1970s who spoke on aloha to a broad audience of millions. It is a part of the upcoming musical. It's something I wrote recently, and I mean, in a nutshell, it's really inviting the listener to go deeper beyond this very surface, kind of shallow view of Hawaii, which has been perpetuated for over a century of that is just a pretty place with good weather. In my opinion, and many people's opinion, that attitude has become actually destructive. So the message behind that song is a connection with the land is really the highest value in terms of an experience for visitors and people who live here alike. So that's something I'm inspired in terms of the musical. I am taking off the summer from my very busy schedule to work on it further. It has evolved so much. I've completely changed the story. It's pretty much a new story now from when I started.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, it's completely different. It's been so educational for me because representing this culture is a huge responsibility. And I keep going deeper and deeper and educating myself deeper and then realizing, oh my gosh, I either overlook this or I really want to say this and I want to say it in this way. So, I mean, I've thrown out dozens and dozens of songs, entire scripts and everything. And so it's evolving, and I truly trust that it's becoming what it's meant to be. And I'm hoping that by next year, and of course the pandemic kind of changed the schedule, but by next year it should be brought to stage.
All right. I can't wait. That sounds like fun. So you mentioned you've been touring a lot lately. What's it like touring in this stage of the pandemic? I'm sure it's different, right?
Yeah, it is different. And, I mean, the first thing is you never know how it's going to be, if the shows are going to sell out or they're going to be half empty or what. But, everyone across the board and all the venues, all the people in the industry, everyone has been just really supportive and flexible. And we've actually had great turnouts. And I've been so blessed to be healthy the whole time, and I'm in touch with so many of my audience. Everybody seems to have had great experiences, and it's been my performances have been much deeper. I've gone through a lot of personal trauma and loss, and so I've been taking the opportunity of being on stage to go deep with my audience and use music as a healing medium, not only for myself but for people, and the feedback has been profound. It's been great. Truly profound.
That's wonderful. That's good to hear. Hey, on the back of the album, I noticed you dedicated it to both your mom and your dad. You say your dad really loved Hawaiian music. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first of all, mom passed away at the end of 2019, and dad just passed away in January, totally unexpectedly. And so it was a very short window to have both of them depart. That was really the inspiration behind doing the album, and a lot of the material that I chose were my mom's favorite songs and hulas. She was, we're, I don't know, what are we, third generation Hawaii, but my dad's from the mainland, and he was a driving force in me getting into slack key and Hawaiian music because he was just so in love with Hawaiian music. I mean, it was his passion.
I saw a promo clip on YouTube today. Somebody captured looks like some early videotape footage with you and your dad on stage.
Oh, I would be curious. You should send that my way. I don't.
Okay. It was. It looked like. You had to be maybe in your early teens or so.
I mean, you sure wasn't Uncle Sonny?
Yeah, it was real quick. There was no narration. There was no captions underneath there. So I was like, wow, that, I thought it was really cool.
Well, I spent a lot of my time with all kinds of elders. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what it was. But, when I first started learning slack key, Dad and I took lessons together. That was a beautiful bonding experience.
Maybe I'm thinking there was a black and white photo of maybe you and your dad.
Oh yeah, that would have been possible.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Anyway, speaking of Father's Day, clever segue here. You've got a concert coming up on Sunday. What can folks look forward to at that show? Is there going to be a Father's Day theme, family theme, I imagine?
Well, like I said, the whole album is inspired by my ohana, and definitely, it's obviously going to be emotional for me. It's so fresh of my father passing away. So, I'll be touching on the themes and honoring him in my show. And, I never plan my shows. It's like, I'll tell you, I did a Mother's Day show. It was so funny because it never happened. It started out as a train wreck. I got into a fight with the sound guy right on stage, which has never happened before, but he totally messed up the sound. And by the end of the show, it was so incredible. Everyone was crying. I completely made up with the sound guy, and we were hugging, and the whole place was in complete tears because it had opened up this unexpected opportunity to go really deep about moms.
Wow.
And, people tend to be really shallow in life, and it's like, I'm not like that. Like when I'm on stage, it's total transparency. So I can't make promises or plans, but I can tell you that me just planning to do a father's show is a major, major thing, considering what I went through.
Really? Okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's going to be profound. That's all I can say.
Good enough. What is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Oh, I just, I don't play Hilo as often as I'd like to. This is a rare occasion.
That's right.
And I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Makana, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Steve. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Songs and Stories podcast. Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next week on Songs and Stories. Aloha.